Started.
We have Dismay Comics.
Yeah, I know.
Is that what you're saying? It's the Gallows? Because I don't have the name of it.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram, the Gallows. Yes.
Let me pull it up on Kickstarter so at least I have the name before I mention what it is.
Yeah, we're live, so I'm going to go into the roadshow.
Catch the Craze is partnered with NSC Roadshow. NSCLiveTV.com and Inc. Marketing are proud to present the NSC Roadshow podcast tour. As a creator, come to be treated like a rock star as we take you on a tour with podcasters from around the world. Got a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or a project you would like to tell thousands about? Come and get on the tour. Are you a podcaster that would like more creators on your show? Come become a tour stop on the tour.
What's up, George? What do we have on today? Got a load with this.
We have Dismay Comics on the show. We're going to be talking about their Kickstarter. So check it out.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the craze. If you are an independent, catch the craze. Making moves on your own, catch the craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the craze. Join the movement, catch the craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze.
Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Ver, and I am with.
Oh!
Yo.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Catch the Craze.
This is what happens when you fire your engineer.
We are live on another Kickstarter episode. We have Dismay Comics on the show, and he's got a Kickstarter live right now called The Gallows, man.
Yes.
Which has already been funded, but we have he still has quite a few days to go, so we're going to be talking to him about that. It's a golden age superhero tale with the fun campiness of the 1960s Batman show mixed with the violence of a Tarantino movie.
Nice.
So that's The Gallows.
Nice.
So we'll talk to him about that, see where we are from there. Welcome, everyone. Thank you again for stumbling upon our show. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you comment, because that's very important.
Do all those special things. So before we go into it, and before we guesses in the waiting room, but we'll bring him back. We'll bring him in at the 15-minute mark. But before we go into it, we'd like to acknowledge our sponsors of this show, and our first sponsor is Daphne Lage with her Kickstarter Eagle Raven.
The continuing adventures of Eagle Raven returns to Kickstarter. Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, Issue 2, continues with Eagle Raven, a half-unicorn, half-human princess, exiled from her enchanted homeland Edenron, and forced into Turnham, one of the outer kingdoms of men. If you missed the first issue, don't worry, catch-up levels are available in both digital and physical editions. So check out my campaign, and thank you so much for all of your support.
And our next official sponsor is Seek by J.R. Wisborough. Seek is a bounty hunter who specializes in tracking and apprehending the most dangerous supervillains on the planet. Seek, along with her team having no superpowers or special weaponry of their own, Seek's only creed is, dead or alive, it makes no difference to me. If you're a fan of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Punisher, Gotham Central, and even The Suicide Squad, you should definitely check out Seek, live on Kickstarter now. And those are our official sponsors of the podcast, and we appreciate our sponsors. But it's a very special show because it's a Kickstarter show, and our sponsors both have Kickstarter campaigns. Both of them are funded. Daphne broke a record. She funded in under 3 hours, which is a record for her.
So that's pretty cool. But she has a great project. She has, I think, 29 days to go. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then we have Seek, who is also a sponsor of the show and a friend of the show. As is Daphne. Jerry Winsborough has Seek on Kickstarter, so check that out. He's actually already made his goal. He's made a couple of stretch goals, so you definitely want to go on there and pledge. I believe there's another goal that he's trying to reach at, I believe, 75 backers. I think we get another trading card, which is what he's doing as stretch goals. So check that out.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Thank you guys very much for sponsoring the show. And we're going to spread the word as much as we possibly can. But definitely check out those two very, very cool Kickstarter campaigns.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's just a Kickstarter extravaganza. And while we're at it, the Crazees are currently on Kickstarter. And while we are funded, and we funded in 2.5 days, we thank you all for who backed us. We're trying to get to the 50 backer mark. So, and we have a lot of incentives. And in case you don't know what those incentives are, if we get to 50 backers, 50 physical backers, we will enter you into a raffle to win a limited edition. You can't get it anywhere. It's no longer in distribution in a cycle. Issue number 1 of There's an Alien in My Toilet, the color edition.
100 backers, Sam.
Huh?
100 backers, no?
The 50 backers is for the color single issue, and the 100 backers is for the trade paperback.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes. So for 50 physical backers, you'll get issue number 1 of This Alien in My Toilet, full color. The only way you would have gotten that is if you were at the Comic Cons back in the early days, over a decade ago. So you'll be one of a few that have it. And for the trade paperback, we have to get to 100 marks. So we're trying to get to 50 first. So we're almost there. We are 27 away.
These are raffles we're doing. These won't be actual physical. You won't be getting a physical. Everybody won't be getting a physical copy.
Right.
This is going out to the backers. We're doing a raffle for these 2 items. So just to be clear, I don't want you guys thinking, oh, we're gonna get,
Yes.
it's gonna be a raffle. So that's part of the fun. Because at the 50 backer mark, we do have already have a stretch goal up on our Kickstarter. So check out the link. So you can check out what every backer gets at the 50 backer mark.
Yeah, yes. So this is just an incentive to get to the 50 backer mark. It has nothing to do with the campaign. It's just an additional layer for one person to win a cool prize. And we will be having that raffle live. So that way you'd want to join us. That's pretty cool. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, no, we've reached our goal, and we want to thank everybody who helped us reach that goal. Right now, we're trying to get some stretch goals. The 50 backer mark is the first stretch goal, and if we reach 2,500 on our campaign, which is about, a little under, I guess, 1,300 to go.
Right.
We will be giving everybody a PDF of Doug's Kickstarter campaign, The Nefarious Smiths, which is also a very cool campaign that is running right now on Kickstarter. So you want to check that out. So we have a couple of things going on with our Kickstarter, which is something different we're trying this time around.
Yeah. So, so that's pretty cool. The Nefarious Smiths, again, he also made his goal, and now he's trying to get to the stretch goal. And, we decided to do some cross promotion with it because his comic has the same kind of feel that ours does. And it just made sense to co-collaborate. And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
What's up, Young Wavy the Artist? Thanks for joining us.
Cool.
So it's pretty cool. So tonight we were sponsored by Kickstarter campaigns. We have a Kickstarter campaign, and our guest is coming on who has a Kickstarter campaign. So a lot of campaigns. All the links are in the summary of this episode right now. So you can check out all the different campaigns. But again, pledge to Catch the Crazees. If you didn't get the first issue or second issue, now's the time to get all 3 issues. You can get caught up and get all 3. So it's pretty cool. And not only that, but while we're at it, we do have an art contest. So I'm going to play that for you. What's up, artists? Want to win some cool prizes? Well, I have a contest for you. Show us your best crazies. That's right. Draw the Catch the Crazees for a chance to win some cool prizes like a feature in the book, interview on the podcast, and some cool swag. Winners will be announced at PowCon at a live panel
It'll also be streaming live across the globe. Here's a chance for some bragging rights, some cool swag, and a feature in the book. Send your submissions to contact@catchthecraze.com. Contact@catchthecraze.com. So all you artists out there, here's the time to get your pencil on, get to sketching, and number one, get your art featured in issue number 3 of Catch the Crazees, which is currently running on Kickstarter. So it'll be printed when the Kickstarter ends. And you'll also get a copy of that book with your art in it and a bio about you. The winner will be announced at PowCon. We are hosting a live panel. So Catch the Craze podcast, we have a panel at PowCon. So we will announce the winners there. And you'll get not only the copy of the book, but also some cool swag. And you'll also come onto our show and we'll interview you. So you'll be announced live. We're going to stream live as well as be there. And so you get bragging rights. You get your stuff into a book. And you get some cool swag at the same time. And you become a guest on Catch the Craze podcast. What more can you ask for? It's gonna be fun.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good to me, man.
Lots going on. So
make sure you definitely head out to PowCon on May 29th. It's a 2-day show, May 29th and the 30th. Big shout out to Sal Lamedico, who is the promoter of the show, and who invited us to do the first ever panel that we've ever done together on a show. We've been to a lot of shows, Sam and I, but we've never actually had hosted a panel. So that's going to be a first, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Like Sam mentioned, there's going to be a lot of cool things going on at this panel, and not only just the giveaways and all of that fun stuff, but also the information that we're going to be providing for anybody who wants to start doing something like this. Podcasting seems to be the way everybody's doing nowadays, and it'll be a cool way for you guys to know the process, learn how we did what we're doing, and as you can see, it's
so if you're a budding aspiring podcaster, here's your chance to ask questions. We're going to talk about everything from the basics, from the easiest way to do a podcast to the more complicated and more technical, to branding your podcast and reaching out to a larger guest. So we have Young Wavy says, I'm glad to be here. I enjoy watching your podcast while I draw. Awesome. Thank you. I hope you enter the contest, Young Wavy. That'll be dope. And thank you again for joining us. And I did see your comment about each month recognizing subscribers, and we will be doing that every month. So thank you so much. So
Young Wavy. I just was wondering where he's from. I always it's nice to know where everybody's watching us from. But that's cool. Thank you, man. Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah. So where are you from? What part of the world? Because we get a lot of subscribers from different places, so we'd love to know where you're from. So while we're at it, we're going to bring in our guest, and our guest is coming on board. Let's add him in. Brandon Ingram. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
How'd it do? We lost you.
Oh, no sound.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Awesome. Outstanding.
Okay. Do I sound okay?
Yeah,
sounds great.
Okay.
Welcome to Catch the Craze. I'm Sam the Crazy Man, and there's my co-host.
What's up, buddy? My name is George.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Cool. So
this big comics, huh?
Yeah. That was actually the kind of an afterthought, because the actual what started it all was I had a anthology horror series that I came out with, which was Dismay Avenue, and then I was like, I should probably put like a publishing line to it because I want to self-publish it. So I was like, I guess you could almost go the close to DC Comics route, just naming your brand after your first comic, kind of.
Right.
So Dismay Comics, yeah.
There you go. So before we get into your campaign, which is up and running, let's talk about you first. So where'd you grow up? What were you into as a kid?
I grew up in South Alabama. So in the country, redneck area, kind of. And then I moved to Northwest Florida, which isn't that far from South Alabama, but it is a little bit different. And growing up, I just kind of, I was like a early 2000s kid. I was born in 1997, but I can't really call myself a 90s kid.
Right.
I only experienced 3 years of that. So anyone that's 1996 or 1997, you call yourself a 90s kid, you're a liar.
Liar. Blasphemy.
Yes. Yes. You're a 2000s kid. You enjoyed Linkin Park. You enjoyed Nickelback, whether you know it or not. Nickelback was good back then.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Absolutely.
And it became a meme. Everyone hated it. But I was big into pretty much anything 2000s, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, all that sort of stuff, Pokemon. But I was always into comics. I think what got me into comics was one day my mom likes yard selling, and I used to go with her all the time. I was into it too. And we went to a yard sale, and some guy had like a shoebox of comics, and I was just digging through them. It was like 70s, 80s comics. There was like, I'm trying to remember, like there was like your Superman, your Spider-Man, stuff like that. I remember, I think it's a Marvel character called like DP7 or whatever.
Yeah.
Most random name, I don't even remember. But I remember reading through those and like really getting into it then. And then after that, I remember going to the mall to like buy back to school clothes for like second grade or whatever. And they used to sell with the back to school clothes like a toy attached to the clothes, or like some sort of thing where the kid's like, oh, I want this. Like the kid doesn't care about the shirt or whatever. They just want the toy.
Right.
And that's how it was for me. I got it was a Spider-Man shirt, but it was the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. It was a reprint.
Right.
So it wasn't the big ticket item.
Right.
And reading that got me into like superhero, like mainstay superhero books. And so yeah, ever since I've really been into comics, superhero comics, indie comics, all that sort of thing.
Nice.
Nice.
Man. But have you dabbled in the art side of comics, or have you been on the writer side of comics? Where do you stand? Are you a writer? Artist?
So I'm a writer. I wish I could do art. I love art. My mom's an art teacher, so I grew up just loving art. So I can go to an art museum any day of the week, love it. I can admire it. But me personally, I'm drawing stick figures and stuff. I'm not good at it, but I definitely admire art. And I think that passion kind of drove me into going for comics, into working with actual talented artists, instead of me just writing like a novel or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was reading up on some of the stuff that you wrote some screenplays. When you
Right.
I don't know how long ago. Tell us a little bit about your writing background.
Yeah. So I'm not really like schooled in writing in terms of the schooling. It's more like high school, English 1, Comp 1, all that stuff. But yeah, I kind of always enjoyed writing. I started liking it a lot more towards the tail end of high school. I got really more into it. And then once I graduated high school, I was in college and I had jobs and stuff, but during my free time, I loved writing. I mostly wrote a bunch of short stories and different stuff like that. And because something I forgot to mention, I was big on the Twilight Zone in middle school and high school, as well as like horror movies in general. But the Twilight Zone was my mainstay horror dive that I still love to this day. And because of that type of stuff, that anthology type of stuff, it really drove me in my passion for writing like short horror scripts and stuff like that. And then from there, it branched off to different stuff, because The Gallows Man isn't a horror book, but it has some somewhat horrific things in it. But yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And then so you started writing a couple of screenplays and stuff like that. Why comics? Why did you decide, you know what, instead of doing this on the big screen, small screen, whatever it is, why comics instead of just going into movies?
So there's two reasons. One reason, the 51% reason, is because I was sending screenplays to competitions and stuff like that, and they were getting picked up in some competitions, not the ones I was wanting them to get picked up in. And I was doing that for a couple years and stuff, and I was like, I'm not really getting any pull on this stuff. But I still had that love for comics. I was still reading comics. This was around the time whenever DC Rebirth was happening. I was heavy into that, heavy into a bunch of Image stuff that was happening at the time. And as I was reading that and as I was submitting to all kinds of different competitions and stuff, I was like, why don't I just like take this and just apply it to this? Not all my stories I can do that, but I realized a lot of them, if I just tweaked some things, tweaked it to where it'd be more understandable in a comic sense, I was like, this could actually work. And so from there, it wasn't till probably about like from there, that was maybe sometime 2017, early 2017, I think is when I had that idea. And then it wasn't till like late 2017 or early 2018 when I got serious about it, of like actually getting in contact with artists and different stuff like that and reaching out to them, supporting their work, as well as being like, hey, like, you guys need any work or anything? I'm willing to pay. I'm a college student, so I'm on a budget, but I am looking for some artists. So that's kind of how that happened.
How tough was it to find an artist, Brandon? Was it hard? Especially with a budget, you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to just say you want to throw some stuff. How tough was it finding an artist at a budget? How tough was that for you?
So finding an artist, one, isn't as hard as it isn't as hard as it probably was like 20 years ago. With the internet, it's so much easier. You have different things like DeviantArt. That's mostly what I used starting out, was DeviantArt. And then I eventually found out like, oh, there's like Facebook groups and Instagram groups where people are like, there's hungry artists out there that are looking for work and stuff like that. But in terms of the budget aspect, you really do have to dig deep and find those ones, because you'll see artists out there that they're charging what they should be charging. Their work is clearly worth that price. So whenever I would message them and they'd send that back, I'd be like, well, I understand that your work, it's really good. I hope to see more of it. And then I would continue looking for artists then. And really, in terms of the college kid budget, really, I was looking for artists and stuff, and it really is just not getting lucky, but you got to do the work. You have to go through a bunch of conversations and learning about a bunch of different artists as well. But just constantly talking to people, and like the artists I've worked with, I'm not saying their art is budget material. I'm not saying that at all. Their art needs to be valued at these other people's art, at how great it is. They might not be in the more professional position as the other ones in terms of like having work that's already out there and stuff like that. They might not have that, but in terms of the quality of their work and the timeness of their work, like, these guys are already professionals. But it really is just taking the time to talk to all these artists, basically.
So how did you settle on the style and look and feel of the comic? Because we have one of our subscribers that's watching right now, and he's a manga style artist, right? So I guess how did you land on the look that you were going for, and what was that look?
For the Gallows Man, I was really wanting, because it's essentially, whenever I wrote the script, it's basically like a golden age with some silver age hints in there. And I wanted an artist that could kind of produce something similar to that, as well as making it a little bit modern so that it's palpable today. Not saying that golden age art isn't palpable, but just trying to include everyone. I know some people are a little bit put off by old art, stuff like that. I'm not, but I understand that. But it really was trying to find that golden age with some hints of silver age art style. And the artist Helen Bolton, she's amazing. I had worked on some horror stuff with her before.
Yeah.
And through that horror stuff, I realized like she's very, she can adapt like on different styles and stuff like that. One of the horror stories, it's a horror story in like Dr. Seuss-esque art style, basically. So I hired her for that. And then I hired her for like a 1-page comic, which was a little bit different than that. And then I was like, hey, like, I really like working with you. Like, what are your thoughts on like doing a satire parody, stupid superhero book?
Right.
Not saying the book's stupid, but it has like some silly moments and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, that sounds great. Cause I briefly described it to her. She was like, yeah, I'm down. And so she sent back some concept art and stuff like that. I was like, yes, like I didn't even realize this is what I was envisioning, but yes, this is perfect. You nailed it. I didn't even have that in my head, but you did way much better than what was in my head.
Now,
So it kind of went from there.
Do you send her like a description of the characters, or is that just it's just a description? You know, it's funny, when I was reading the what you have on your Instagram, which is, you know, the Gallows Man #1, a golden age superhero tale with the fun campiness of the 1960s Batman show mixed with the violence of a Tarantino movie. I'm thinking, okay, this guy's probably like my age, you know, he's a little older, you know, likes that kind of golden age. And here you are, born 1997, like.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you come up with, and I guess now, you know, just stepping into the Gallows Man, which is the Kickstarter campaign that's going on Kickstarter right now. How did you come up with that whole concept of like the Gallows Man?
So it was kind of, and people are going to like probably hate me a little bit for this. At the time when I wrote the script back in late 2017, it was the first draft I wrote the script. I just got out of something to where I wanted a project. I got out of something to where I felt like I was a quitter, basically. And I wanted to do something that I hadn't done before and really like push myself, just to challenge myself, basically. So this was kind of my first feature-length script I'd ever wrote. That wasn't a horror script. I had written like a bunch of feature-length horror scripts and stuff. So I was writing that, and the idea, because I've been trying to think exactly the pinpoint thing. I know the first few things that happened. I think the pinpoint thing was honestly like me looking at some clips of the 1960s Batman show. And that's the reason I say people might hate me for this. I didn't watch episodes of the 60s Adam West show. I just watched like the bomb clip, him running with the bomb, the disco scene, all that stuff. That's the stuff I saw. And so I was like, I like the fun campiness of this. Mm-hmm. What if you like, because I didn't see this in comics, or if it is in comics, I haven't seen it before.
Yeah.
What if it was that fun campiness where they shy away from the violence and stuff like that? What if you just like added the over the top violence to this, like this narrow view of these superheroes who like, they're like desensitized to the violence, basically.
Right.
And I think it kind of spawned from there. And then from there, it just went, as I was thinking about like characters that from the golden age, as well as some silver age stuff that kind of fell into this, like the Gallows Man is heavily inspired by Hangman, who was a 1940s golden age superhero, as well as Batman. There's some Batman elements to it, as well as just random goofy stuff that was happening in the 60s and like the silver age and stuff. So it's kind of where it spawned.
Interesting, man. That's cool.
Nice. Was this your first project as a comic book creator? Official?
So in terms of like Kickstarter or
Yeah, like the one that you just started to go all in with.
this wasn't my first one. I wrote the rough draft, which was originally a screenplay, in late 2017. I didn't adapt it into like a comic or comic script until like early 2019, because over like the year and a half, I go back to it here and there, tweaking things here and there, and it obviously it wasn't getting picked up at screen competitions and stuff like that. But as I was reading it, and I was already at that point into making comics, into making like short horror comics with Helen, Jade Sky, a bunch of different people. At that moment, I was like, I'm making comics. Like, I really like this script I have for the Gallows Man. Why don't I just tweak these things? Because I read it, and I noticed like points where each issue could easily end. Like, it just fit perfectly. I was like, boom, boom, boom. Like, I could easily just have this be a comic. I could easily just work with someone and make this a comic. And that's kind of how that happened.
Nice. So now, just before we go directly into your campaign, as you were talking about sourcing an artist, did you go in with, how did you start that conversation? Did you say, here's my set budget, I like your style, are you available? Or did you say, how much, did you ask them first, what are your rates?
Ask them first. So like, if anyone's out there, ask them first. Don't be the pushy, demanding one. It's a conversation. They're people. So if anyone is looking for advice or anything like that, like, talk to them like they're a person, because they are a person. Like, understand that whether you're trying to build a business or whatever, like, you're still working with people. So treat them like people. And it was honestly, yeah, it was asking what's their budget. And if their budget wasn't really, or not their budget, their page rate, essentially, if their page rate wasn't really in my range, or if I couldn't like bump my budget up to reach that, then I would continue the conversation a little bit and just tell them how much I like their work. I'd follow their page or whatever. And a lot of those people I still follow today. I still see them on my news feed, their progress and stuff like that. But yeah, never like demand or force something. And then like, if they can't meet that, because they're a person, they have a value to their art. They deserve that value. They've put the effort in. Don't treat them any different than any other person. Just have a civil conversation, go from there. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's a way to answer. I don't know if I answered the question or not.
That's fine. I mean, what's your approach to your writing, your script? How much detail do you provide the artist with? Do you do it the DC way or the Marvel way as far as script writing?
Definitely not the Marvel way. Yeah, no. I provide a good bit of detail. But not like the Alan Moore way of detail, where it's like every single pinpoint thing of the page. The artist needs a detail of what to draw and stuff, but there also needs to be some, it's like a relationship.
Creative freedom.
There needs to be some creative freedom there. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because a lot of times as a writer, yes, I admire art, but I'm not the one that's actually doing it all day, who knows panel layouts and all that stuff. So if I have something in my head, and if they produce something and show it to me, a lot of times what they produce and showed to me is going to be a lot better than whatever I had in my head, because they know what they're doing. They're experienced in this. They've been doing this, I say, a lot longer than me. They've been doing this, I can't even say a lot longer than me, because I haven't been doing that. They have the experience in it, is what I'm trying to say. So you have to allow that creative freedom there, kind of.
I find that exists in the independent circuit. Not in the mainstream circuit. I think in the mainstream circuit, it's do it this way and that's it. And but I find that you'll find where the talent really thrives and flourishes is when it's in the inception stage or when the early development stage where you have indies working on projects. I think indie writers provide that flexibility because I think a lot of it has to do with the budget too as well. So I think sometimes she's like, you know what, I'm going to allow those liberties, and you'll be surprised. I mean, we do it too. We with artists or colorists that we commission, and sometimes we're like, oh, I wouldn't even thought of that. And we're both artists as well. So it's interesting approach.
I think that it's the reason why a lot of these professionals who work for the big two or the big three, whatever, they actually leave to create their own things because of that freedom that they feel like I have. I know we've spoken to a few writers who, one of them worked in Jonah Hex, and he was like, you know what, I loved working on it, but at one point it was just like, all right, let me go do my own thing because they want certain things written a certain way. Right. So, but I think what I like about your process, Brandon, and what I'm getting from you is you're very humble. You say, okay, you know what? I may not have all the answers. You guys may see it a different way. Show me what you have. Maybe I like it. And that willingness and that openness, I think, is what helps, I think, artists work with the independent writers. I think egos have to be left at the door, and I think there has to be a lot of respect.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're completely spot on. There doesn't need to be that, because you're not working at Marvel, you're not working at DC. Talking about the writer. Yeah. And even if you were, don't be barking orders at someone. This is a passion project, most likely, if you're doing an indie comic. If you're not like one of the big names like Scott Snyder or whatever, if you're just a simple low-level person like me or whatever, you're just working with people. And that's what it should be, not barking orders or anything. It's that communication, that relationship. It's a project that we're all involved in. And you need to, even if an input is put in that you're like, I don't think that'll work, at least allow that input to be put in. Ideas to flow, basically.
We have a question from.
I was going to ask him that thing.
Yeah, you were.
For everybody watching, for everybody watching, I just want everybody to know that we're talking to Brandon Ingram. He's got the Gallows man on Kickstarter. The link is in the bio, so click on that. Go ahead, Sam. I know that young Wavy has a question for us, so
yes,
I kind of want to tackle it.
It says I personally mixed. How do you go about choosing your genre for comics?
Depends on not entirely what you're comfortable with writing. That has to kind of play somewhat into, as well as like, not entirely what do you enjoy reading, but if you're a writer, what do you normally enjoy writing? For me, I've talked about horror a lot. I've consumed a lot of horror in my life, and only being 23, you can tell that some of the stuff was at a too young of age to consume. So it probably affected me in some way, right. As you can probably see in the Gallows Man or whatever. But what do you like? Like what, because if you're independent writer, if you're not hired on as a screenwriter or staff writer, whatever it is, what do you actually enjoy to like? And for me, it's horror. I like to write horror. I like to write superhero stuff. It's not all the Gallows Man. The Gallows Man is part of it, but I do like superhero stuff nowadays. Not entirely the dark and gritty stuff, but there's some good stuff out there. It's just essentially what doesn't feel like a burden or a stress for you to write. Like whenever I go to write, it's supposed to be like I get to do this kind of like not entirely like relaxing, but just like it shouldn't stress you out.
Right.
No, I do. I'm looking through your Kickstarter page, and I see that you have a nice preview of the book. Did you set the page up by yourself? Did you have some kind of help to set this thing up? Because we're doing a campaign now. We know the work that goes into getting these things together. So were you able to do this on your own? Did you have some help? How did you put it together?
In terms of the page, I did it all by myself.
Nice.
As time progresses and I don't have, even then I didn't have a lot of time to do the page. I was really like crunching and pushing it in terms of having time to make the page. But because of that time management thing, I started making the page back in like late February or March or whatever. And I finished most of it like early March. There was some stuff that the past like 48 hours, I was like staying up overnight and doing it because I was like, oh, I forgot to add this, forgot to add that. All that last minute stuff that you look over and you're like, oh, you gotta change some stuff up. So that stuff, but I purposely did most of it ahead of time just so, because I was in college at the time. I graduated this past Saturday. I was busy. Like Thank you. But it was one of those things where like I had a tiny chunk of time while I was in college where I didn't have as much writing assignments and stuff, where I was like, okay, I can take this week and try to punch out 80% of the page and stuff like that. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm sorry, I talk a lot. To answer your question, yes, I made the page.
Outstanding. And I just want to acknowledge, George, we lost you.
Your mic is muted.
There I am.
There you go. We don't know what you just said. But I want to acknowledge that we have another viewer in the chat. Gilbert Rodriguez, thank you so much for joining us. And he just writes, you have to write what inspires you. It could be positive or negative. Some people are inspired by negative things. Edgar Allan Poe, depression, anxiety, etc.
Yeah. Sam, it's funny. You read my mind. It's exactly that's what I was trying to say as I was muted. That's weird. You think alike. We have the same mind.
That's it. You're good, you. So let's talk about the campaign. Let's talk about the benefits of the campaign. What's in it for your backers?
Yeah, so there's pretty much something for anyone. Whether you simply just want to drop $1 or whatever, we've got something for dropping $1. We'll shout out your name and our at the end of the campaign and towards September, we'll put out a social media post on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll shout out your name within that post, all the way to $70, which is, it comes with a ton of stuff, as well as consultation by me in terms of screenwriting or whatever it may be. And as we're going through, if you're like, man, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, I'm sorry. No, there might be a nugget of something you can use there. One of the ones I like the most, well, I should mention the physical books. Getting simply a digital copy at first, that's $5. $5 just to get a digital copy. The physical books start at $9. The variant copy is $10 plus shipping. And then, right now, sorry, it's Kickstarter brain. I'm sure you guys have had this where you're like, what all do we have to remember about our Kickstarter?
Yes.
But we've got an early bird special going on right now where you can get the physical and the digital copy all for the same price of just the physical. So you basically get a free digital copy of the book. That's going on for the first 24 hours of the campaign. So tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, that's when it cuts off. So be sure you get in on that if you want a physical copy of the book. And then my favorite tier personally, I know I should be hyping up like the $50 tier, $70 tier. My favorite tier in terms of just best bang for your budget or buck, whatever it may be, is the Great Value Bundle. It's $25. It comes with a signed by me copy of, here, I've got them right here, of the regular cover of the Gallows Man and then the variant cover of the Gallows Man #1, both signed by me, as well as a 3-pack sticker set for the Gallows Man, a PDF of the comic, a digital copy of the comic, as well as a PDF of the first issue script. So you can look over that, and you can look over that and be like, oh, like he's not that bad at writing, or you can look over that and be like, oh, he's an awful writer, whatever you get from that. But another one I should mention, if you want some custom art, some custom digital art produced by Helen Bolton, the artist on the Gallows Man, there's a tier for you. For $50, she will produce anything within the realm of Kickstarter guidelines. I should mention that. Anything that you want. And the description is in there. For $50, she'll custom produce a piece of digital art for you. And there's some other tiers in there, but those are the most notable ones off the top of my head.
I love that, man. You know what I love about it too, and for everybody who's listening and watching, you should know that the book is completed. So it's not like he's trying to get the money to complete this book, and maybe you'll get it when you play. No, you're going to get the book when you play.
Yes.
All now you're gathering is the money for the printing, right? So
yeah, I just showed you guys, everyone that's watching. I've got some physical copies right here. These are just like test copies because I was trying out a couple printers, found the perfect one, printers solved, all that stuff. If there's any risk, it's because of USPS.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but very smart of you to get prototypes in advance.
Yeah.
Yes, very smart.
And I think it might be like kind of the perfectionist in me of like, I want it to look the best it can in terms of like what I think it should look like. And so I just wanted to make sure everything was all ironed out before sending it off to the public.
Yeah. Now, dude, I'm really digging the B cover. Who's the artist on cover B?
Oh yeah, Rick. I'm so sorry, Rick. Rick Alves. I was trying to remember his last name. Sorry, I was blanking again. Kickstarter brain right now. Yeah, Rick Alves. He did the. Let me take it out of this.
He's from
stupid
Brazil, right?
sleeve.
Architect from Brazil.
Yeah, he's from Brazil.
Yeah.
Let me take it out of the sleeve so you can actually see it better. Yeah.
I like it. I like that style. I like his style.
Yeah. I like it a lot.
It's funny because I actually like the other cover.
Yeah.
I'm happy you say that because I remember messaging different people and just kind of like just getting opinion of like which cover do you like if you prefer to cover. And it was essentially you two guys. It was split down the middle. So I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I want.
I like the other one because it reminds me of the old style of covers,
right,
comics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it just had that look and feel that was like nostalgic.
Yeah.
No, it's great, man. The artwork is amazing. I think that you have a very, I mean, it's funded, so we're getting this book.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to pledge to this. Now, why so long? Because now I'm like, damn, it's gonna go. You have 37 days left. So what was the idea behind making it a longer campaign?
Were you apprehensive about not making it go in 30 days? Was that the truth?
Well, kind of. Because in all honesty, people don't like to talk about this. I feel free talking about this. Yeah. I did a Kickstarter campaign back in October, November, and it failed. The big reason of why it failed was me in terms of knowing what to do before a Kickstarter and stuff.
Right.
I thought I had different things where it's like, oh, I'll just message people on the day it goes live. That'll work. Yeah. No, that doesn't work. So anyone out there, don't do that.
No.
Make sure you have way in advance of letting people know about it. So kind of from those mistakes and that failed campaign kind of led me to stretching the days a little bit, because I think it says like 37 or 38 days.
37 days, yeah.
Yeah. And part of the reason I did that was because I was also doing some research and studies. There's no telling how accurate or good the studies are, but they're saying the best time to drop a Kickstarter is on Tuesday. And then the best time for it to basically end is like a Thursday or a Friday. And so I was like, okay, I'll make sure I do that, because I think if it was 30 days, it wasn't going to do that. So I was like, all right, I guess I got to stretch the days a little bit longer so it goes to Thursday or Friday.
That's cool, man. I like the research. And you know what? It makes you a little gun shy, right? When you have a failed campaign. But the fact that you got back on that horse, man, and just said, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Outstanding. So now, how can people reach you? What are your social handles?
Yeah, so you can contact me through Dismay Comics on Facebook or Instagram. That's DISMAY Comics. Yeah, you can contact me through there, through the messenger. You can private DM me, Instagram, whatever it is. If you have any questions or anything like that, I'm willing to answer. I might not get to you right away, but I will try to answer. And if I don't answer, send me a message like a day later or whatever, and being like, hey, you didn't answer. I'll be like, okay, sorry.
Right.
Sweet, man.
So any final thoughts, any you want the audience to take away from this conversation? Any last minute pitches?
So yeah, as Sam had mentioned before, it was either Sam, maybe it was Sam. You had mentioned it's essentially 1960s campiness, fun Batman mixed with the violence of a Tarantino book or Tarantino movie. If that sounds interesting to you, look at the Kickstarter. Essentially, the premise of the book is the Gallows Man is set in the 1940s in a kind of over the top satirical world somewhat. And he and his team have to track down this old enemy of them that is a part of a Nazi cult. He's the leader of a Nazi cult. And this Nazi cult has been basically underground in hiding in Town City. That's the city that they're in. And they basically have to go after them, put a stop to them, simple taking out the Nazi type stuff. And also, the Gallows Man has some personal interest in this because something happened to a mentor of him by this Nazi cult leader. So there's that as well. So there's some characterization there.
There you go. No, that's good stuff, bro. You just got another pledge because I just hit your stuff up.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Congratulations, my brother. I can't wait to read it. And anybody watching, make sure you go to the link that we have right now for Gallows Man and pledge. Make sure you pledge. Are you planning any stretch goals before you leave? Are you doing anything?
Oh, yeah. So you had mentioned we did reach our goal. We've got some stretch goals at $700. If we reach $700, Helen made some amazing Gallows Man bookmarks, and what they are, it's essentially like a PSA, like a public service announcement of the Gallows Man, basically telling your kids to continue reading. Reading is power. So at $700, everyone that has backed a reward tier of level 2 or higher gets the bookmark. And same with the rest of these stretch goals. At $1,400, you get a sticker. It's a poop joke sticker. Me saying that, if you haven't looked at the campaign page yet or watched the trailer yet, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, and you'll probably click off of the video or whatever. Look at the trailer first. It'll be explained. So that's there at $1,400. Then at $2,100, you'll get a PDF of a horror comic I produced with Jade Sky a little while ago. That'll be in the second issue of Dismay Avenue. Once we get to that, we'll have a Kickstarter for the Dismay Avenue stuff in the future, but you get kind of a sneak peek at some of the anthology stories through that 8-page story. So that's at 2,100. And then I have some ideas for 2,800 and 3,500. I want to go over with Helen and some others to see their thoughts on them. But at the moment, those are the stretch goals.
Perfect, brother. Perfect.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Much success to you. You have a solid plan. You have a good head on your shoulders. And again, congratulations on graduating. That's
Thank you.
That's a really big to do, especially when everybody else wants to be Instagram superstars. So congratulations, and we look forward to seeing what happens with the Gallows.
Thank you, guys.
You got it, buddy.
Thanks for having me on here.
You got
Yeah,
it.
no worries, man. Come back anytime, Brandon. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
See you guys.
And that was a really good episode. And so again, the link is in the summary, so you can go over and pledge today, and check out the Gallows on Kickstarter right now, and also check out Eagle Raven and Seek, both on Kickstarter, and those are our official sponsors, Eagle Raven and Seek. And you saw that we opened up with their sponsorship videos. We're gonna take a couple questions and then we're gonna exit. So
I'm gonna go broke, bro. I'm gonna go broke.
as a creator, what are some of your end goals? End goals. I guess the end goal is really just to create a solid story and hopefully build an audience that appreciates your hard work. I think that's the biggest thing, is telling a good story that you are passionate about, and hoping that people appreciate that work, that story as well, and follow you along the way, so that way you can continue to build and grow it.
Yeah, I think for me, my end goal has always been, ever since I was a little kid, watching cartoons on TV and watching watching Walt Disney and Hanna-Barbera and all those cartoons. My goal has always been to see my stuff on the silver screen, like on the screen, just animated, cartoons. That's always been my end goal. Like that's always been what I wanted to do. So ever since I started creating, that's always been what I've thrived towards. Which is comics. I think it's a gateway drug, right? Like comics is just like the start. It's where you get hooked to like creating and writing and drawing. and then it but to me it can't stop there.
Right.
Like I think that's where it starts, and then it just has to keep going. Otherwise, and everybody's end goal is different. That's my end goal. But I think that for me, it starts with comics, and then hopefully one day it'll go there. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I same thing. I mean, since I was a kid, I grew up watching cartoons. I mean, I told the story of, I had my TV had a built-in alarm clock, and I had it set to 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. At that time, Eastern Standard Time, to turn on Channel 11, which at the time it was Kids WB or whatever, on Channel 11, and it would wake me up to the theme song of Pokemon. I was so enthralled and with all cartoons, from the early cartoons to the newer cartoons, from X-Men and Robotech, Thundercats and He-Man, and I've always wanted to create my own cartoons and my own stories. And so the end goal is really to be able to make my dreams a reality through storytelling, and hopefully create characters that live beyond me, and that generations will enjoy in the future.
It's like that thing you have right behind you, that poster you have right behind you.
Yes.
I'll show you. It's living, you know what I mean? Like,
That's my hero.
Charlie Brown will live forever, bro. Like
Yes.
Charlie Brown will live forever, and that's like our legacy.
Yes.
For some people, it's children. For us, it's our comics.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, good question, man. And you're absolutely right. I think the mecha genre is definitely slept on, but I think part of that is because it's, to me, when I look at I like mecha, it's like so hard to draw, bro. Like there's so much intricacy in that genre. It's amazing, but I think that a lot of people kind of like, I guess maybe just.
It's funny. I don't know if you ever heard about this, Young Wavy, or anything, or not Robotech, Exo Squad. So, these are some of the Exo skeleton. Exo Squad was a cartoon in the early '90s. Had a few seasons, and so I loved Robotech. I grew up on Robotech. Voltron, G-Force Battle of the Planets, and then Exo Squad was one of my favorites. I have all the action figures and everything, but I think if you're an artist or creator, you have to appreciate all forms of art, because that's where you get inspiration from. So I do want to acknowledge Jonathan, the Psycho Cyphex. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Gilbert Rodriguez, and thank you, Young Wavy. So this was another special live edition with our Kickstarter guests. Join us tomorrow night, as we will be live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the crew. So Jonathan the Psycho Cyphex, Anibal the Animal Arroyo will be joining us, and we're going to be talking about everything under the sun, from hip hop to crazy stuff. So you want to join us again. Do you guys still read comic strips? I read comic books.
I haven't read a comic strip in a while. I think the last comic strip I read was Curtis, I think it was called. But yeah, I haven't read a comic strip in a minute. Like, I haven't, you know what I mean?
The last comic strip I read was Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
That was it.
You're way behind.
Yeah. I didn't go to Hagar the Horrible.
That was a great one, dude.
Yes.
But yeah, no, we'll be live tomorrow, and we will be having a good time with the guys. Remember to our Kickstarter is also live right now, so make sure you hit it. Pledge to the Kickstarter. We have a lot of cool stuff on there, more stuff to come. We're trying to get to 50 backers so that we can unlock some goals. Sam is going to be raffling off never before, well, not a never before, but not printed copy of the Disney Only My Toilet issue #1, which is kind of dope. So we'll be raffling that off. We're going to have a live show later on this month, in the middle of the campaign, to just give updates as to where the campaign is. So we'll be having some of those fun raffles that we like to have. So definitely check that out. And yeah, tomorrow we'll be live again.
Yes, and for everybody who backed Forbidden, it's already in the shipper in USPS's hands. So your books are on the way. So thank you again for backing my Forbidden on Indiegogo. And again, back Catch the Craze. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. So everybody who's joined us tonight, hope you see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. We will be live on all platforms from Periscope, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So we're going to leave you with the trailer to Catch the Crazees. And we hope that you pledged today. Thank you all again so much.
If you can hear me, please help us to be the best podcast in the universe.